Well, my big old trip to Europe has been postponed 2 months because of, well, those obvious COVID reasons. And boy, talk about your trials and tribulations. Rebooked the hotels. I think of the 14 that I booked in advance. 2 gave me a refund. 8 objected. 3, I got a chance to accept a rebooking 2 months later. And the rest contested it. I went back and forth with my credit card company, doing a chargeback. And in each case, citing the fact that I'd accept a like reservation at a later date. 3 of those accepted. But that's what you got to do when you're dealing with supposedly non-refundable. But you know what? I cited in each and every case, even though it was 60 months in advance, something called force majeure. That includes a pandemic, meaning overwhelming natural forces. And one of the rules in there is you either get a refund or they should rebook it. But that's another matter. How about the reservations? I've now had 3 airlines cancel in the rebooking, including the Irish carrier Aer Lingus, Turkish Airlines, Singapore Airlines. I rebooked it again. Yeah, I'm paying $400 extra. And then there came the rail reservations. And I went back to Rail Europe, which I booked many, not all, of my reservations. And through various mechanisms, you got to go deep down into the list. I was able to get some partial, some full refunds, especially on the electronic ones. So I went to go book the new reservations. Turns out they've changed their site. They even require you to re-register. So I went down the menu there. You'll see it there. Where's my Global Pass? Well, it said, do you have a rail card? I opened it up. No Global Pass. I tried it anyhow. Wouldn't give me the discount. I was stymied. I went to some others. So I Googleated it, and let's say I went to a site that says Rail Pass. That didn't get me anywhere. And then I went to one I was previously aware of, the Eurail Pass, nominally associated directly with the Global Pass. Trouble is, they wanted you to have a pre-registration, even though I had purchased my ticket on Rail Europe instead of Eurail, and no problem normally, except when I went to do it, it either said, did you buy it here or did you buy it elsewhere? I went through both menus. It would not accept the cover registration number. It's not the ticket, the cover registration number, no matter how I iterated it. I contacted them. They sent me back a perfunctory, snide, snarky email saying nothing. That was a week ago. Now what am I going to do? So one of the other Googleating choices was to go to the Rick Steves site. Boy, he is a goldmine. I've met him. What a human being that should be a standard for all. Look at that. Did the search, and it looks just like the old Eurail site. And sure enough, you can make reservations, including the Global Pass. Went through, of course, just like the old Eurail Europe site, some of them are not available. Going back to the master map, I get a notice from Thalys, that's the service between Paris, Cologne, Brussels, Amsterdam, that they have canceled my train trip. And I went to their site. Don't get me started. And I couldn't make a substitution, refunds, went to Rail Europe. Now I know how to get back to it. And, I got a partial refund. But then I thought, boy, is that expensive. It's like $35, and that's with a Global Pass. I thought I'd do my old trick of going to Lille at the border in France, take the TGV into Paris from the border. It's only €10. And to get to Lille, Rijssel, if you like, in Flemish Belgium, and there's now direct intercity service. In any case, now I had to do all the others that were not available on Rail Europe. Well, to start with, Portugal, you have to only do when you're in Portugal. That's the way it is. The train between Vigo and Porto, between Spain and Portugal, is free. And you might as well do that there because it's free, and you really don't want to do it online because of the extra charges. There's a train between France and Italy. They're all private. Your rail pass is not valid. And if you use the Rail Europe or Eurail site, you'll get that super high full charge. The trick there, go to the Trainitalia site. Now, the Trainitalia site used to do Global Pass. It doesn't do it anymore. But it is a site that you can book the private, non-valid for the Global Pass, Tello trains between France and Italy. And I know if you go way in advance, you can get them for a song. Non sono pronto da cantare. And guess what? I got one for €10 between Nice and Genoa because I'm going to connect on down to Pisa to go to Firenze. It's more scenic. Now, for that trip between Genoa and Pisa, turns out there's a cheaper train, runs at the same speed because it's along the coast, no high speed. But guess what? My theme here is high-speed trains. And booked that. That was pretty cheap. Notice, didn't get that discount. For the remainder, I did that on the Rail Europe site. So I went back to the French site, SNCF, yes, French trains, and they used to give Global Pass discounts. They stopped for a while. I thought I'd give it a try, and lo and behold, they had them. Not only the benefit, you don't have the surcharges, great conversion rates, and they had trains that the Rail Europe site would not offer. For example, from Toulouse to Barcelona. And they had the ability for me to book that train from Lille to Paris. No surcharges. Surcharges on the Rail Europe site are now $7.95 American dollars. You know, you book, say, 5 tickets. That's about a €2 charge. You know, waiting in line. And I think it's kind of worth it. I should have booked my other tickets in France there as well. One of my train legs was from Bologna, Verona to Munich, and it had been embargoed for the last 3 months. And I just kept plugging away, trying the Bahn.de site, German, and or the Austrian OEBB.at site, preferring the latter because it's a €3 instead of a €4 reservation charge. Finally, I got it. You got to choose that option, and this time I'm going to also be taking the train Italia to Bolzano or Verano for a little changeover. My theme again is high-speed rail. Also, I booked using the Austrian-German sites the leg between Prague and Berlin, because that train's usually full, we'll see, and, you know, given the language, etc., even though my Czech is a little bit problematic, but my German is ausgezeichnet, that I did book that one. That was the only elective reservation. All the train travel in Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, no reservations as a rule of thumb. Exception, by the way, in Germany is that rare sprinter train that has that backward swooping S. There's like 2 a day between the major cities. That's reservation only. That's a higher high-speed train, meaning fewer stops. To go back and recap, I had originally planned on using Aer Lingus to Berlin. Normally a great idea. But they canceled it, had to pester them. They wouldn't give me my voucher. They wouldn't give me a refund. I just did a chargeback, and they never contested it. So now I'm flying into Frankfurt, and that requires, because my pass is valid for 22 days, the 23rd day, I went way in advance on the Bahn.de site and got a $21 fare from Berlin to Frankfurt. You'll see the black lines there are non-reservation. Again, to recap, from Paris via Lille to, or from, I should say, Brussels. Did that on the French site. The yellow ones in France, I should have done in France, but I did them on Rail Europe. The ones in Spain, you'll have to wait till you get there. That's just the way they are. They're paper tickets. They are no longer, for COVID reasons, sending any paper tickets by mail. Portugal, have to do it in Portugal. Reservations to from France to Italy. Have to use the Tello train. Use the Train Italia site. Pass isn't valid. Do it way in advance. The 3 Italian reservations I did on Rail Europe. Finally, the reservation between Italy and Munich. Did the Austrian OEBBAT site. Likewise for that leg between Prague and Berlin, just because I thought and will find out if it was a good idea.